There we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Meet the Actor. I'm sure you recognize the lady who's on your screen right now. It's Maria Olsen.
Hey, everyone. Hi, Pete. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. I'm glad you agreed to come on.
Of course.
So your first question is, how did you first get into acting?
Oh, wow. Were you speaking about back in the dawn of time then? I have been on stage literally since I was 6 years old. First, I think ballet shows. And then when I was at primary school, I started doing kids' school shows. Did a couple of shows in high school. Like we did our musical every year, or a straight play every year. And then when I graduated, I joined 2 dramatic societies in the town that I was living in at the moment, and literally just hopped from one society to the other, doing absolutely every single play and musical that I could get my hands on. I was growing up in East London, South Africa, so that was way far away from any film industry whatsoever. And I always thought, let me watch whoever, Jane Fonda on screen in Agnes of God, for instance. And, I'm sure I could do that. But I could never challenge myself because there wasn't any film opportunities. So when I came to LA in 2005, I sort of spent a year orienting myself. And then I started doing plays. And then I was like, you know what? The film industry is here. You've always been saying you could do it. I challenge you to do it. And I just started submitting for absolutely everything and its cat. And eventually I learned how to audition for film, which is very different from auditioning for stage. And I started figuring out how to do it and booking roles. And well, that was in 2006. And I think I've been busy since then. So I think I must have got something right somewheres.
Yeah, you've been very, very, very busy since then. So we'll do it as a 2-part question. What was your first role? So what was your first sort of like bit role, I suppose, and what was your first role that you went, wow, I've got a main piece?
Okay, the very first bit role in movies, there's a story behind that. I was working at the West Valley Playhouse here in Los Angeles at the time as a stage manager, because I also do tech and stage managing, sound and things like that. And I was happily sitting there as a stage manager. Our second lead booked a commercial. And she was like, well, today is Wednesday. I'm so sorry. I cannot be there on Friday to do the play because, I'm shooting a commercial and that's really what I'm in LA for, to do film, not play. So goodbye. So
well, that's a bit short notice.
The director looked at me and said, hey, stage manager, you're up on Friday. And I'm like, crap. Okay. So I took the day off work. I learned the role in a day and I went up on Friday night. I did the show completely off book and there were Spanish lines in there, which I learned phonetically because I have no idea from Spanish. Come on now. And I garbled one line in the entire play and I apologize profusely for that. But I did the entire play off book. The guy I was playing opposite was like, I'm directing a film in a few weeks' time. Do you want to role in that? And I'm like, okay. So that's how I booked my first role in a feature film, in any film. And I played, that was a horror feature called Sam Hell, which is a really good film, but it's didn't ever get distribution. It's on YouTube now. The entire film's up on YouTube, and if you can actually find it, totally watch it because it's really, really good. And it's literally my first film role. I have like 2 lines, didn't know what to do with my hands, so they gave me a clipboard to hold. I play a nurse at an insane asylum. So yeah, obviously that's what I'm going to grow up to do like my whole life now. And that was it. My first role in Sam Hell was as a random nurse because I could learn an entire play in one day. Okay. Fairly early in my film career, I think like year 2 or something like that, my agent got me an audition for Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief, which is this huge $19 million Fox movie, Christopher Columbus and all those people, Logan Lerman, Pierce Brosnan. And I went in and auditioned for it, and I'm like, this suits me wonderfully, and there is no reason on this planet why I cannot book this. I was young and naive at that point, yes. And then I got a call back like 6 weeks later, and I'm like, there's only 3 of us here now. And I can hear one just messed up her lines so completely. That means there's 2 of us now. So went to the callback, did my best, and didn't hear anything for like 6 weeks. And then I was up in Highland, which is a small town about 100 miles out of LA, filming a short film. And my agent phones me and she's like, what are you doing in April? And I'm like, nothing. So she was like, well, whatever it might be, clear it, because I've just booked you Percy Jackson. And that was like the first, holy shit. Can I swear on the show, by the way? Because I will. Thank you. Holy shit moment. And that was, it remains the biggest film I have ever shot. I've done like some bigger named horror movies since then and some TV shows and stuff, but it remains the biggest project I've ever worked on.
Is there anybody, when you worked on that film, you thought, oh, I'd love to work with that person again? Say Pierce Brosnan or somebody like that.
Pierce was amazing. He was so quiet and great. I mean, you know, he'd sit like next to me in the makeup trailer and you didn't even know he was there, honestly. Right. I wish I could have had scenes with Rosario Dawson and Uma Thurman, but we were in completely different parts of the film. Yep. Chris Columbus actually he enlarged the role for me. I was supposed to, I don't know if you know the story, Percy Jackson. In the book, I played the Fury, and the Fury is like undercover as his teacher to try and find out what happened with the lightning bolts, right? In the film, it was going to be I was some random homeless lady who like finds him in the museum, and I go all like Fury on him. Yep. But then he was like, you know what? No, we'll pull the character from the book in. We'll make her Mrs. Dodds. So I got that entire scene in the school that was extra from what was originally written. So that was awesome. And then he was going to write me into the Hades scenes as well, but that just never happened because time and whatever. You know, we were getting revisions on that script right up until the last final second before shooting. Wow. You know, here's the blue copy, here's the pink copy, here's the goldenrod copy. And I'm like, what the hell is goldenrod? But okay, I'm running with this. Yeah.
You're used to sort of like taking the ball and running with it there and then by the sounds of things. So.
Oh yeah, you know, I've arrived on film sets where they were like, you learned your scene, that's awesome. Well, we rewrote it entirely. Here's your 8-page scene. It's completely new. You're due on set in 3 hours. Have fun.
Yeah. Great, thank you. Yes. Well, exactly. Well, you kind of answered this question with how long have you been doing it? So I guess we'll go with not the majority, a good percentage of your career is short films. Is that something you mainly focus on, doing the short films? Because obviously most actors and filmmakers have a day job as well. Surprisingly, people might find that actors do actually have day jobs. They don't just sit at home and rake the money in.
Wish that were true. Especially earlier in my career, I was like, any project that knocks on my door, I will accept. I've got a little bit more discerning now because, as I said to my good friend Jamie Bernadette, I've done something like 125 independent feature films. Do I really need to make it 126? Yeah. So I look for really interesting, different, challenging roles. Mm-hmm. Not like, all right, I'm playing said zombie for the 27th time. Yeah. I want to do new things. I want to do different things. I want to do things that really interest and stimulate me. Mm-hmm. So yeah, in the beginning, I did a lot of short films. Now, not so much. I don't even really submit for short films anymore because I'm like, I do not need to build up my resume. I'm at the point where my agent said, you take this shit off your resume because it's too long and people will think you just work background. And I'm like, oh, is that how it works? Okay, then. But if someone invites me into a short film or writes a role specifically for me, or there's something incredibly interesting that I'd like to do, sure, I'll do it.
Mm.
But otherwise, there are other people who can have fun.
Yeah, you're allowing other people to take that ball and run with it now. You're going on to bigger and better things in the grand scheme of things.
In the grand scheme of things, yes.
So you kind of covered what you worked on. You've gone from small to independent to big blockbuster stuff. So what are you currently working on? Which is probably not a lot considering how the world is at the moment. But
nothing. I'm wearing a mask now.
Yes.
Okay.
And your second, sorry to interrupt. The second part of it is what do you have planned to work on? So
Okay.
that would be things that potentially, like I said, somebody's offered you a script and, well, at the moment it's probably just sat there as far as it can go. But,
exactly. Yeah. A good friend of mine, Natalie Jones from E3W. Yes, I get that mixed up. Company asked me to audition for their horror podcast that they're doing. And I auditioned and I booked that role. And literally, it's like 15 people from literally around the world. We had a table read the other day. South Africa, Spain, Scotland, everywhere across the US, Canada. We're going to be recording this podcast, and it's a really, really great project. So that's happening. Yeah, exactly. I had a table read, or it was just a script reading of a brand new project that was also fun, and that was a Zoom meeting. I have booked a feature film called With Child. Yes.
With Jennifer Nangle and somebody else whose mind's now just gone.
I know. And Jeff, the writer-director, please do not ask me to pronounce his last name because I will butcher it horribly. So when that gets off the ground, that would be fun. Apparently, we're shooting next year. There were various projects that were on the go that we had planned to shoot during this time, like Starlet, the new one. I was signed on with Harley Wallen, thank you. My brain, it's a wall. That was supposed to shoot like last month. Death Care was supposed to shoot in April. Everything came to a grinding halt because of Mr. Coronavirus.
Yep.
My last project that I shot was a short film in February, late February. I had shot a feature film in Colorado in early February, and I remember thinking, this is probably the last time I'm going to fly for a long, long time, because we could see what was coming down the pike. And I wasn't wrong. I shot here a day on a short film in February, and I haven't shot since then because, hey, everything came to a halt.
Yeah.
Now, what you gonna do, But there's definitely things that are going to happen after that. But exactly when, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, if you just look at your IMDb, the amount of pre-production things that's on there, but I think that's a lot of people's IMDb's and stuff at the moment. So
yeah.
So this is the question which comes up with a whole multitude of answers. So, what advice do you have for upcoming actors and people wanting to get into the film industry? I've had a couple of answers of don't. So,
that's actually a very, very difficult question right now because of the pandemic.
Yep.
My usual answer is, if you cannot live without acting, do everything you can to act. If you take that answer against a backdrop of an international pandemic, that could be a death sentence, okay? Being seriously straight with you. So if you cannot live without acting, do everything you can to act and further your career. But take the necessary precautions you have to not get sick in our time. If that's social distancing, if that's not acting and just like studying for now, or if that's just wearing a mask, or if it's whatever it takes. I think be safe trumps go out and act right now.
Yeah.
So just my 2 cents.
Perfectly reasonable answer. So I'm going to throw a different one to you. I don't usually ask people. Do you have any projects that you personally are writing, or have you thought about possibly writing your own projects?
I love writing. Okay, I have two feature scripts that I'm like halfway to 3/4 way through right now. But to finish them, I need time and quiet to plan everything, because I don't do vomit drafts like some writers do, as in just get it out there.
Yeah.
I plan it meticulously. I have many different strands running through my stories at the same time. And when I put it down, it's almost a final draft. And then I will just go through it once while I'm writing to clean it up. So pretty much with me, once I've done it, I've done it.
Yeah.
So I need about 2 weeks quiet time, alone time, to just finish these damn things. But I won't get that because of my personal situation at the office right now. My boss is ill. He's literally in hospital right now. I'm running the company. Even when he's here, I don't have time. Never mind when he's not here. You know, I work 7 days a week, 14, 15 hours a day. So no, script writing is not happening right now. One is an adaptation of a short story, actually, from like the 1800s or something like that. It's called The Lost Ghost, about a little 6-year-old girl who somehow dies and comes back and looks for her mother the whole time. I love that project. Absolutely adore that project. I'm about 3/4 of the way through the script. The other one is something I came up with all by myself on a drive home, actually, one day. It's about, who knows what the name for it is right now, but multiple personality disorder. I think everyone will understand that.
Yeah.
But it's sort of, this is my brain, and my brain is always complex. It is, you don't really know this at the beginning, but it's the different personalities of the girl. She's purposefully bringing them back to life again in order to go back and right the wrongs she experienced in her past. But did she experience those wrongs? So that's that one. It's yeah, again, it's complex, it's weird, it's multi-layered,
I bet that's a hard one to be writing.
It is sort of, but it's fascinating. I just need to get back into it, just read it and remember where I was going with it and do it. But again, I need time and quiet to do that.
Do you plan to be in it, direct it, anything like that?
I've never directed for film because I don't have confidence to direct for film yet, because there's so many technical aspects that I don't understand. I've directed for stage, and stage I grew up on literally, so I'm fine there. The Lost Ghost, I have written rather a substantial role in for me, but it was just one of the original characters in the original story that I have elaborated on, but it's not the lead. In the other one, which is called Alter, there was really just a peripheral role of a psychiatrist that you go back to every so often, speaking with the antagonist girl. So that one, not so much, but The Lost Ghost, yes. But who knows? I might not even ever finish them. And I know it takes like 17 centuries for a script to be made into a film. So,
yeah.
Who knows?
So your last one is promote yourself. If you got a YouTube channel, promote that. Website, promote that. Got any projects that you want to mention, such as, well, you mentioned With Child, but any other ones might pop into your head. Usually happens after I press stop recording.
Right. I have been lucky in that several projects that I worked on, 18 months ago, 2 years ago, a bit longer, they were all released literally since the pandemic started. So there's a lot of my stuff that's new that's out there right now. So if you want to see me do my thing, watch Robert Conway's Eminence Hill. That is a Western, but it's got sort of cultish overtones. So that's where the horror element comes in. By Day's End which is a found footage LGBT zombie takeover of the world, actually. So that's an interesting concept. Something completely different is Edward Payson's Our Friend John, a documentary about the life and untimely death of John Hernandez from sickle cell anemia. That is literally winning awards everywhere. We just won a Telly Award for that. I was in it and I helped Teddy produce it, but Edward did everything. Edward, Teddy. What else came out? Wretch is out. It's on the festival circuit right now, so I'm not sure if it's available like for everyone. Why do I forget these things? Because there are so many of them. Yes, as you press non-record, I will remember what else. There were at least 2 others that came out, feature films that came out during the pandemic.
Actors go through stages where you sort of don't see them for a while, and suddenly, boom, they're everywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Yes.
Yes. One of the things. So, I will chuck you one last final question, because why not? Do you see yourself staying in the horror element industry? Because obviously, like you mentioned, a lot of your career has got horror elements in the projects. Do you see yourself staying in that, or do you want to try and branch off into other genres?
It's not really up to me. When I'm not being myself, which is hopefully light and non-threatening, I concentrate my energy on screen, which means that I have an intimidating personality on screen, which makes me unfit for comedies and romantic comedies and things like that. So I naturally gravitate towards the darker genres.
Yeah.
I also enjoy horror and things like that and really heavy drama because there's a lot of things you can investigate and work through and think about. Just yesterday I was listening to a true crime podcast, and the crime that was being discussed was of a father who had killed his severely disabled daughter, but out of love and wanting to protect her. Obviously, he's a criminal.
Yeah.
But just to tackle the mindset of someone like that in a film, and to explore that whole thing and to express those emotions and that conflict and that love and that abhorrence for what you're doing to others, that to me is fascinating and interesting. So, and horror is really the only genre that you get a chance to play like that. And for me, it is playing. I play with my emotions when I'm on screen. A lot of the stuff I do on screen is, of course, I arrive on set knowing my lines and whatnot, but a lot of it is I generate within the moment because of what I think about or what song I play in my head or how my connection is with my scene partner. A lot of that for me happens within the moment. And also my emotional shades change from take to take.
Yeah.
It's not as though I don't have a set blocking. Of course I do, and I do it all the time, but my emotional nuances will change. And that to me is fascinating and interesting, and that's what I like about this. So wait, what was your question? No, I will probably not be leaving the genre.
So we'll see plenty more of you in the genre. We won't be seeing you in a, I don't know, romantic comedy of some sort next to Jennifer Aniston.
Oh God, no. Nothing against romantic comedies.
Maybe we will. I don't know, but we'll just say probably not.
One of my favorite films is While You Were Sleeping and Miss Congeniality. So there you go.
Well, that's it. Time to release those guilty consciences. Well, it's been lovely talking to you. Thank you for doing this interview. And
of course, you're welcome.
We'll bring this to an end.